Good morning, Green Room. Here we go. So, looking at what's happening so far, the limited amount of information available here, it's obvious that yesterday buyers got a little nervous and backed off from their irrational exuberance that's been going on here as they've moved up. And so far today, we've got a little stall here, not a big deal at all. So the question becomes, is this the next day or two possibly just taking a little rest before the next move comes? And depending on where we look and what we look at, it comes like, which way should it go? All right. So we'll take a look at a few markets here. Just looking at the S&Ps here and this chart, looks like just momentum slows down and a rest before going higher since we've taken out this level here. And as I move this up, the price action, price action was one in which it did stop there and could have moved lower. But as you know, we trail prior daily highs as an initial reference point as to support within a move. Now, this is a daily chart, but if this was an hourly chart, we'd observe it in exactly the same way. The real trick, if you will, or the power behind the method is knowing how to combine multiple time frames to come to a high probability conclusion as to the direction of prices. And sometimes it takes a little time, but we start out with an initial bias assumption that if there are multiple time frames in alignment, the logical assumption is that prices will keep going in the direction of the prevailing trend. And that's, kind of what we have here, but we've got this resting period that started. So as we look at the hourly chart, we see a nice strong run up. And then the depth of retracement back down to the major support was about 100%, which brings into the question of a lower high. Now, as we all know, week before last, we had this nasty red bar that said prices want to go down, and that didn't happen. We had a red bar ignored and a 180, powerful 180 reversal. So what do we do with a situation like this? Well, you go to the weekly and you say the trend is up. It's a little extended. It's not crazy extended like a climactic setup, but a resting period would be good, and even pulling back to some support. Well, that's not happening, right? It reversed it back up, and here was the transition from red to green, and it turned it back higher here when breadth got to a bullish level without sentiment doing so, I might add, and it went up anyway. So my takeaway from this is this corrective action here should be a rest before going higher. Now, you have to think out what would change my mind about that, and your mind, of course, since we have to look at it in an objective step-by-step process where we could all come to the same conclusion based on that data or information that comes to us. And so we have to do it objectively, not through someone's looking at, hey, look at this, 3-count Fibonacci Elliott wave reversal with a stochastic twist to it. And the other guy's saying, whoa, partner there, I've got the ultimate indicator with the Chikumi cloud that says just this. And so it goes. But if we just look at it in the most simplistic way and say that big green bar reversed that big red bar that said it was going down, as long as whatever goes on over here in these lower time frames, it can consolidate in the upper half of that big green bar, things can't be so bad. And that's a really simple way of saying that, hey, if this pulls back a little bit in the context of what it did here, so what? let's just see what kind of pattern bar by bar can develop between this area, because between here, right, between here and here, right, that's that bar, give or take. Right? We're into Wednesday, so let's say between here and here. As long as it jiggles around within here and it doesn't come down here, you can't get too bearish. Intraday, this might pull back a bit and you'll find some shorting opportunities as a day trader. There's nothing wrong with that. But keeping the big picture bias in mind, even as a day trader, it wouldn't be an appropriate time to say, let me push the pedal to the metal on the short side. Okay. Let's look at some other markets. And the Qs, which has been the star performer, momentum came to a screeching halt. And so they backed off yesterday, but they didn't break down below the prior day's low. So if I visualize this on a closing basis, the momentum just slowed down. It's still going up. And now the question will become today, can it break below that topping tails low? And if it does that, that opens up the door to starting to pull back. And then this level right here, right, is where there's some support, which should be a way to duplicate that on all the charts, I think. But maybe I'm not going to figure that out right now. Who cares? All right. So 7,200 in the middle of that, whatever. Just eyeballing stuff. We don't need our, decoder ring. We just eyeball it and say, well, if it came down here, there's going to be some buyers in that area. And then prices should continue to move up. Now, the other side of that thought process or analysis is, what if today some news comes out and it's like, holy shit, did you hear what he said? And the markets just crumble and they close below that low. Well, we're all going to know what to do at that point, because what we're looking at right here just got blown out of the water. So that's Dan is saying, Powell at 230. Is he going to come out with some surprise? Who knows? So we have our plan based on the trend, multiple time frames. We know that there's some news coming today. Don't get too aggressive in front of it. Be aware of what's going on. Look at the charts. Be objective. Things go your way. High five. Go tell your better half how smart you are and take the money. Do whatever you're going to do. All right. And YM, a little bit weaker. As you could see, does this roll over from here? I'm going to keep an eye on it. Or do we get a topping tail ignored? So clearly sellers came in yesterday and pushed prices down. And we saw some weakness in a few things. And we saw strength in other things. And so a little bit of a mixed market, but it's all good. Bonds continue to consolidate after this shakeout, which is suggestive that at some point, buyers are going to try and take complete control where they're just absorbing this supply right here and will take bond prices higher. And because this seems, well, that was a mistake. What caused the mistake? Some news, I suppose. I don't know. An overreaction to something. We don't care. We just look at the pattern and say, well, it went down and it came back up. It's going sideways at where their sellers are and it's not going down. That means that buyers are holding on to control here and they're just not ready. But it looks like they're starting to get ready. So set your alert across these highs and below these lows just in case. And wait, trade something else. Gold, kind of thought maybe it could get going yesterday pre-market. It doesn't happen. This is a pretty nasty break here. It did violate major support on the daily, and now it's trying to rebuild and get through this area. And this is one of those moments in time where it appears that it should be able to, but it's just not happening yet. It's questionable. And so as it retests this high, as right now it's going sideways, which is just fine. And this bar is a bottoming tail bar. So when it dipped down, buyers stepped up again. But, why we use bar by bar analysis, right? This green bar said up. Well, next red bar being gigantic said it was going to go down, and then green. And, so now it's churning up. So the message here is, I think I can, but I'm just kind of building up my confidence level to see if I really think I can. So set your alerts and wait. Most green bars recently at major resistance bullish. Well, the green bars keep pushing up into the resistance. So the major resistance is here. Well, this was major support. This is now minor resistance. Yes, exactly. Minor resistance. So now as it's come up there, we know that there's going to be sellers because since it broke the trend here, now there's going to be sellers. Those that bought here thinking it'll go up, and rightly so, lost. So they want to get their money back. Now, the weekly is still in an uptrend, but it came down pretty darn hard vertically, which creates a lot of uncertainty about that continuing. So this kind of price action going sideways, and let's for the moment assume that it can continue to go sideways a little longer. The longer it can do that, the more buyers will build their confidence that it'll go higher, and the more anyone that was short will lose confidence. So yeah, it's absorbing the supply. So at some point in time, we would say the buyers and sellers that are facing off with each other, one of them's going to say, I don't think this is going to work. And the other side is going to run away. And whoever wins, it's either going to take it higher or lower. So right now it's kind of like a coin flip. The trend being up on the weekly, and this price action right now would suggest it's going to move higher, but ultimately, look, it's got to move higher and then see. Let's look at that. Consider that short yesterday, the symbol AR. I forget what AR. Yes, thank you, Jeff. AIZ. You still have the short from yesterday. Okay. So it had its jiggles at the end of the day. I didn't see what it's doing today, but when we put that short on, when it broke the low, that thing was crazy stock, right? Dipping down, whipping right back up to the opening price. It did it 3 times before it finally rolled over. And so what I'm telling you is it's the essence of what's going on right now. There was a break, and then the battle began. And then eventually the buyers lost their resolve to say, hey, there's somebody here bigger than me, and I think I better get out of the way. And then down she went. So I'll look at it, what it's doing right now, but I hadn't looked at it this morning. So it's even lower. It's a bit lower. Why does it look like that? Oh, here we go. This is when we shorted it down here under the low of the day when it was going sideways for about 20 minutes. So this low right here, usually this kind of pattern, when it dips down below that low, so just start trailing 5-minute bars highs. If it's gapping down, just trail it. Just trail 5-minute bars highs and see what it does. Let me finish up here so Dan can get on here. Oil still looks good. Just a little decisiveness there. Momentum is stalling, but still looks good. Nothing wrong. Looks like it can go higher. Just having some jiggles here at the moment. So energy got turned around. Stall there on the gap, but keep an eye on these. They look like they can go up. And XLF, maybe he's got to get past today because those stocks were looking decent, but yesterday had to give it back. So that's another one. Energy and financials. All yours, Dan.
All right, thanks. Good morning. Yeah, we reduced our inventory yesterday, as the markets are starting to sell off FOMC today, so I'm not going to be aggressive today. Opens, we just covered VIAB in the gap down right here, 2650 area. And that was, we entered on this day. And then it, bounced a little bit and we said bearish 1, 2, 3. You can add to that. Beautiful weekly breakdown. So that was just a no-brainer setup. Urban, we have a bear call credit spread. KHC, we're short stock. Netflix, we legged into an Iron Condor and it's opening. My minder says open, it's up 1 penny. So that is absolutely perfect for a Condor, right? We're going to be making theta and hopefully, some volatility contraction since the market's not gapping down just in that position overnight. CGC, we have a put spread. Big old symmetrical triangle on this pot stock. I'm going to be watching it also for a directional if it can get moving. IQ, put spread, I tighten the stop. We already have a nice open gain. Michael Jackson, we have a directional and put spread. That looks great. Texan, we have a covered call. And as long as it's holding the upper 50% there, daily, weekly look good. TRP, we're long stock. FANG, I had as an Iron Condor, but I canceled it when things were acting strong on Monday. But under Monday's low, then I think we're good to go on that Condor. So I have an eye on that. I have an alarm set. 2 other pot stocks I'm watching here, SWM, Tagatif, need a pullback. Terp, love the, daily, weekly, monthly. We need a pullback and that might even be a core long. A couple that I'm watching today, Weight Watchers is still a weak dog. PYX, we have a put spread in this, another pot stock. AMD was a rock star yesterday. Look at this no-brainer 15-minute chart. Wow. And then I said yesterday that, I was saying over here, if the bar wasn't this big, but it would have been a no-brainer 1, 2, 3 for tomorrow. But I said it's so strong that I don't think it's going to give us that luxury. A few we found in scanning yesterday afternoon, BXS. I like this as a bearish 1, 2, 3 on a bounce. Quartia, continuation breakdown. We'll see what it does in the first 30 minutes. Stamp, same, just it's a big old, that is a monster gap, $200 to, 90, whatever, but it still can't bounce. Where can this monthly go? It's holding here, but the way it's acting, next pit stop 72. I don't know, but that's damaged. ADI, holding like a tank. That looks great. Semiconductor. Merck looks fantastic. Let it go sideways a little more. Reverse head and shoulders. So it looks like a launching pad. DHR. Continuation strength. All time frames to all-time highs. Leah, short on a bounce. I like the gap down, topping tail. It's extended on the 15. Kind of a bearish M on the weekly. Let's watch that for an intraday entry. PayPal, continuation, strength, red bar ignored. DHR, look at that, it's just amazing strength. Wow, let me put that in a window. Wage, been watching this as a 1, 2, 3, and all these gap downs negated. I still like the weekly, maybe a put spread. Boeing, you know, when stocks get whacked like this, I'll be watching them for a couple weeks. I didn't like the topping tail, so we just closed out of our Friday put spread for a small nickel gain or something like that, and looking for a new setup. I actually would prefer, I mean, I need something to let it get deeper into this resistance, or I would love a gap down tomorrow under this base and then let it fall another $30, $40. And then we ride the short side, get off the bus, look for a new setup, and then ride it back up. All right, VIAB we talked about, we're out. Nomad 1960, that's a big gap. Now see, that would have been a pattern. Look at that, bearish 15-minute, topping tails. That would have been a pattern I would have been very comfortable holding overnight. But it's gapping down. RSX, some subscriber sent this to me saying, hey, is this a bearish pattern? I'm like, no, why would you say that? You had a gap up on Monday, inside day. You know, it might come in a little bit, fill the gap, but look at this weekly. If you draw a sideways trend line here, it's kind of a reverse head and shoulders with a lower right shoulder. Monthly is a 1, 2, 3. I mean, every time frame is bullish. FedEx, bearish gap down here on earnings, right near this prior tail. It's not an ideal gap trade as a swing because it's gapping under this mess, but for a day trade, let's let it set up. Buyers are stepping up, and that could be a nice day trade. Or if it holds, maybe a 30-minute high at put spread for Friday. UPS, I always like looking at the cousins when something gets whacked. So this one's gapping down to 108. You know, a little bit of an M type lower high here at the 200. So I'll watch that also. NVRO, we got a minute to go. 50, wow. Wow, that's an excessive gap. Way the heck up here. GIS started off really strong. It's coming in right now. It's kind of a deep retracement, but it's right back here, the 48. Let's put that in this window. But because of the deep retracement, I wouldn't touch this unless we got a double bottom of some sort. Stone, I saw this one yesterday, but that's a bullish move here on Monday. Let's see, you know, it might take a week or so to set up. LOW, we were watching yesterday, but it gapped over the entry. That would have been a great put spread and directional. Oh, WMB, I forgot to mention, we're long stock on that yesterday. WCA, that's carryover, it's a mess. Yeah, a lot of the oils and banks. See, I had GS on my watch list. And look at that. Now it's a breakout failure.